Hello, Key Stage 1. I hope you're having a fabulous week and you're ready for another Phase 6 phonics lesson. Shall we have a look at what we're going to be looking at today, now that we've finished our common exception words? Come on. So today we're going to be looking at everything to do with contractions. We're going to be looking at what they are, because it's a little bit of a funny word, and we're going to be looking at when and why we need to use them. So a contraction is where you take two words and you squish them together. Now, when you squish them together, some of the letters drop out. So we have to put an apostrophe there to replace the letters that are missing. So for example, instead of saying cannot, you can say can't. The apostrophe replaces the letters in red. As you can see, here there is an N and an O missing and an apostrophe in their place. That makes can't. The contraction for cannot is can't. Now, you need to be careful with these. Contractions are really very useful because they mean that as a writer, you can write more quickly while having to write as many letters. As a reader, it helps you read more fluently. If you had a sentence or a paragraph that had quite a few contractions in it, you'd be able to read it a lot quicker and a lot fluently than saying all the individual words. So they have a really useful purpose, but you need to know when you can use them in the English language. For example, it is can be contracted or squished down to its. And that can be a really useful contraction. It's a lovely day. It's snowing outside. However, if you have a look at this sentence here, some people say the English language is confusing, to which I say it's. Now in this situation, the it and the is has been contracted down to its. But if you read it, it just does not make sense. It sounds like a load of gobbledygook. So in this situation, it and is has to be its separate words. Some people say the English language is confusing, to which I say it is. You can't make them into one word, it's. It just doesn't make sense. And just like in the next sentence, that's the kind of teacher I'm. Now, I am has been contracted down to I'm. But again, in this situation, it just doesn't make sense. You could say, I'm a lovely person, I'm kind, I'm really excited. They are all really acceptable uses of the contraction for I am. However, here, that's the kind of teacher I am, needs to be the two separate words. So more than ever, when using contractions, it's really important that you read back through your work and think, does it make sense? If it helps, read it out loud. Is that something that you would read in a book, or does it just not sound quite right? If at any point you aren't sure, use the two separate words and not the contraction. So let's look at some more contractions. I've highlighted the letters that will be dropped in red so that you can find it a little bit easier to have a go at creating those into the contractions. Now I'd like you to have a go at creating can and not into the contraction can't. Should not into shouldn't. Did not into didn't. Has not into hasn't. It is into its. I will into I'll. And London is into London's. Now, remember that an apostrophe replaces the red letters. Pause the video now and have a go at writing those words as contractions. How did you get on? We're going to have a look at those words in just a minute, but before then I just wanted to draw your attention to one particular contraction that you might want to use. Will and not does not make wilt. It actually makes won't. So if ever you see the contraction won't, that is the words will not contracted down together into one word. Let's have a look at those contractions and see if you got them right. So here you can see that cannot became can't, should not became shouldn't, did not became didn't, has not became hasn't, it is became it's, I will became I'll, London is became London's. And of course we also have at the bottom will not, which becomes won't. Now, could you practice these contractions? Could you write each one of them 5 times? Remember, really neat handwriting. That's really important when helping to make you automatic in your spellings. Pause the video now and practice writing these contractions. Now can you have a go at using them in a sentence? Remember to think about the 2 words that contracted down to make the contraction. And remember what I said about ensuring they make sense. That's really important. Pause the video now and write some sentences with these contractions in. Finally, get a new piece of paper, no cheating, and let's see if you can remember how to spell these contractions. Pause the video now and do your little test. How did you get on? Now, don't worry if you found it a little bit tricky. People find contractions really tricky. Even as grown-ups, people put apostrophes in the wrong place. Just try your hardest and keep practicing. At the end of the video, I'm going to show you a slide with all of the contractions that you might possibly want to use. Have a look at them and just keep coming back to the video. Keep giving it a go. Keep practicing using them in your writing. I know myself and Mr. Cook will be really thrilled if we see that you've been using some contractions in your writing work. For now, stay safe, and I'll see you again on Friday for another phonics lesson, where we'll be looking at adding suffixes to the end of root words. Bye.